This is Blaze. Hi. I'm pet sitting him for a week. It's 9 o'clock at night and I got a message to make a video. I don't know why God put it on my heart to make videos, to help the world, to share what I've learned, how I've healed in so many ways from so many things. I'm standing up because Blaze will be all over me if I sit down. And I wanted you to see the beautiful tree that I get to be with this week in this beautiful home I get to stay in. The privilege to be trusted in this beautiful home with her beautiful dog and take care of the things she loves the most. That's a huge honor to me and a privilege because of my sobriety. 19 years ago, I lost custody of my son. I lost everything. I lost my home. My truck was repossessed, had a CPS case. I was suicidal, 40 pounds overweight, just struggling very hard to live and survive. And 19 years later, I'm going through a huge trial right now, which is why I have been off of YouTube for a little over a month. And I realized that I was in sort of a pity pot. I got thrown off. I got sideswiped. I came out of character a couple months ago. It was 2 months ago. Yes, 2 months ago. And I am in a lot of fear. I'm nervous. However, not so much now because I know who I am and I have such an awesome support group and I know why it happened. Even though I stopped drinking, I have to continually be accountable to my thinking. And my thinking had gotten very, 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 very distorted. Living in my home, I was doing the best I could, but I was being really lazy too with my thoughts and my energy. I wasn't being honest with myself, with others. I was acting out and I was overworking with my online business. Blaze, no, he's scratching the couch. And I was work, and I was resentful and I wasn't paying attention, and bam, I blew up, and came out of character, and now I facing those consequences, and I feel extremely bad about that, but I also feel very hopeful because I know who I am and I learned how to recognize now, when that's happening and change those distorted thought patterns. I can see them for what they are. And that's really, really important. If you're someone that acts out, you say, I got a bad temper, I just have anger problems. I hear that all the time in sobriety or, around in the tribes that I go to. And if that's you, I learned that the root of those actions, those reactions, it feels like you can't control it. It feels knee-jerk. But anger is a choice. It is a choice. I know it feels like you can't control it. And those of you that don't get it, that don't have that, I know it's called abusive, it's called aggressive, but here to tell you, and I know it looks like that and it's so dangerous, so I don't undermine that. There's no excuse for that. However, I know it's really fear. Fear is the root of it. Someone that's acting like that, they're very scared beyond words. And they're acting out of some trauma that happened previously, but they have not learned how to process that up here. Coming from a trauma background, huge trauma. You cannot just say, okay, I'm going to change that. Like, check myself, tell yourself, don't do that. It doesn't work. We have to trace the thoughts that it's stemming from. An event happens, we get a distorted thought. We got to recognize that negative thought and change it to a positive one. And there's a myriad of cognitive distortions, they call it, like overgeneralizing, personalizing, catastrophizing, what else? Fortune telling, making up stories in our head. There's all kinds of cognitive distortions that if you're somebody that acts out, you need to be aware of these because it hurts people. It hurts people really bad. I feel really, really bad that I've hurt people as a result of this negative thought pattern and not taking more responsibility for that. But I am now. And I'm grateful to be on the path of recovery. And no matter what happens, you know, I know that I'm a good person that made a super, super bad mistake. And I can make that right by getting better with all my might, being the best person I can be internally as well as externally. And I'm grateful that I get to. I'm grateful that I get to make it right. Every day, living my best life, being the best me. I get to carry the message. I get to be a woman of integrity, of my word. And I can make amends promptly when I've done wrong. And so, if that's you and you act out or you have these weird knee-jerk responses that you're embarrassed about later, that's a good indicator that you've got distorted thought patterns. I would do these things that I was embarrassed about. Like, ugh, I have abandonment issues when I think I'm going to be left. You know, I act out, I panic. And it's from these distorted thought patterns. And so this cognitive behavioral therapy has been extremely useful. Some of these therapists know what they're talking about. I have a stellar therapist that has taught me about cognitive distortions, the root of aggressive, abusive behavior, post-traumatic stress disorder. I have that. And I don't like labels. You know, humans use labels. I don't believe in labels. However, because we're all human, but I realize the necessity to use labels so that we can come up with a system of recovery. I realize that we need to organize things into systems, so that involves using labels, but really, we're all human. No one's just crazy. No one's just this. No one's just that. We're all human. We're all related. We're all connected. So, and I've been talking long enough. So I'm grateful to be back. Grateful I get to be back and healing from this event. And I hope that this message is helpful to you and that you'll recognize that those feelings, if you get anger or those intense feelings, that you pay attention to the cognitive distortions that might be going on and learn what those are and learn how to change them. Your thoughts. You can choose your thoughts. You can literally change your life by changing your thoughts. Love you guys.